Welcome
to the Color and Life podcast.
or welcome back, whichever matches the experience you have with us. I am Jennifer.
And I'm John Michael.
And, that was very lackluster of you.
Well, I can't be exciting all the time, then it doesn't mean anything.
I see. It is episode 42. We can be found at thecolorandlifepodcast.com. The website is a great place to go to find everything. There'll be some information on the screen. There is a new channel, FiberGen, that we'll spend some more time talking about, but we'll be sharing tutorials and some other things. So check that out on YouTube. Subscribe, all those good things, so you can get notified, because those things will come up a little more regularly than podcast. It is episode 42. We said that already.
Yes, and what day are we going to upload episode 42?
Episode 42 should be uploaded by... It looks like...
That is not a calendar.
That is not a calendar.
Is a camera.
Oh, and I did it again.
Yep, you did it again. All right.
I think it's going to be uploaded by the 7th.
Cool. 7th of February. What are we eating and drinking?
It might be uploaded earlier. Water.
I'm drinking water.
Agua.
Is basically how it's going down today. Water all the way.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, we both have water.
Yep.
And...
I'm drinking a lot more water and a lot less soda.
What do we have for our viewers? We have all the alongs. We have show and tell.
Yep.
We have Maker of the Month.
Yep.
We have giveaways. No,
we don't have giveaways.
Okay, we have Maker of the Month. We have a conversation.
And we have questions.
We have questions from...
we don't.
No.
Oh, sorry.
We have no questions from viewers.
Yeah. But on the bright side, there is a lot of stuff from me this episode.
And we have a new post section. Post show.
Yes. So stay tuned
tuned
all the way to the end.
For the post show.
It's going to be cool stuff at the ends there.
Alrighty. Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, on with the show.
On with the show.
Time for all the alongs.
Yes, it is. And this week, well, this month, we have...
this episode.
There we go.
This episode.
We have Easter egg drawings.
Yay!
So we have 2 winners. And...
if you wonder about what Easter eggs are, there's
yes.
information about that on the website, www.colorandlifepodcast.com, under contest rules. And also the Ravelry group under Easter eggs.
Yes. And just a quick info for those of you
who are brand new.
Don't know what it is. We speak in references because
quite a bit.
We love media of all kinds. And so...
Get it?
Got it.
Good.
That was very derailing. I don't think you understood
that was kind of the
how
point.
Derailing. I don't know where I was, so I can't finish the... I was trying to tell the viewers something, and you've derailed me.
I know.
Anyway, it's time for winners.
Easter eggs the information's on the website.
Our first winner, Sarah in Houston.
Yes.
With "You Had Me at Your Good Name."
Yes.
And the second one, Naps060, "Fish Are Friends."
Yes.
Not
all right,
food.
so we'll let you know your choices.
Yes.
Because that's what we do. So the first one of you to respond to me gets the first choice. You PM me on Ravelry. Junip on Ravelry. So the first one gets the first choice.
Is this...
the first choice... the first person to respond gets their first choice. So you order your prizes in which you would prefer, which you want most, which you want second.
This is the Rhombus bag.
Rhombus bag. Okay. I would have said chevron, but that works.
Well,
we might have had a chevron bag
these
before.
are
Green
actually
rhombus.
mathematically rhombuses.
Green rhombuses.
Because of the ratio between
we need to tell them because we've got other stuff to tell.
But the
so this
rhombuses
bag comes... I know, tangent. So, This is
Imperial
two skeins of Imperial Yarn Native Twist Soft Spun Single Charcoal Natural, and
How
it's
did that happen?
100% wool.
100% wool.
150 yards, and there's two skeins in here, and there is a
Little bit of a pattern.
little bit of a pattern.
You can knit the pattern
Going
with
on.
the yarn, or knit something else with the yarn, or whatever.
Whatever. Okay. Then the second prize is kind of a bunch of things together. It's this skein of Bernat. Denim style. It's pink. It's got white in it. It is just, it's 100 grams worsted. Colorway as a number. Content is, where's the content?
I don't see it.
70% acrylic, 30% cotton.
Cool.
So.
And then there's a little pink and white bag to
And then
go
there's
with
this
it.
cool little Notions bag.
And a needle gauge.
And a needle gauge from
And
Knitting I Love. And one of these cool yarn
ball progress keepers.
Progress keepers. So this is the pink set. So we'll have those listed. Let us know what you're wanting and the order you want them in. Okay, next up. We have a new along.
What?
We have a new along.
But
family movie night.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we're doing the family movie night with Crocheting Whovian in concert with her. I need my notes to explain what's going on. All right, so this is a year-long cal. The full rules will be in a thread on our Ravelry group and on the website, because we always put all our rules on the website. The basic idea is you knit anything that has a movie theme. Either the project has a movie theme or the yarn has a movie theme. And movie includes TV, musicals, stuff like that. Crocheting Whovian is featuring certain makers, which give you extra entries. And I thought that what we'd do, since our Maker of the Month, everybody said the Maker of the Month was super popular, we would have our Maker of the Month get you extra entries. Not just the Maker of the Month in that month, but any of our Makers of the Month. Current, past, and as we go forward through the year, the new Makers of the Month will be eligible. So for every maker that you use in a single project, you would get extra entry for that. So
one
for instance,
for the project and one for each maker that you involve in your project.
Right. So for instance, Ann Tudor was our Maker of the Month in May. So if you use her progress keepers or stitch markers on your project, that counts.
Yep.
So if you show that in the picture, you need to put each. So if you have 4 makers involved in your project, 4 different makers involved in your project, and you have the project, so that would be 5 entries. You need to enter it 5 times.
Do you?
Yes.
I feel like
In the finished object. You need to put 5 posts, because I'm not going to keep track and figure out if it gets really popular. That would be just really overwhelming. So you are responsible to put your post 5 times. And say why.
I'm going to see if we can come up with a better system than that.
Okay, that's the way it is for right now. Check the official rules. There will be official rules on how to do it by the time this goes up.
I'll get back to you.
Okay, so he may come up with another way to do it. And then those will be the official rules. So follow the official rules, and we'll review the official rules next time. All right.
Is that it?
So far, one maker counts for both of us, which is Hawari Bazaar, Corinne. So if you use Hawari Bazaar, you can enter it as an extra one in ours, and you can enter it as an extra one in Laura's.
Cool.
All right. And we'll have links for Crocheting Whovian and her
Podcast?
Yes. And her podcast and her Ravelry group down below. Now it's time for showing off. Showing off.
Yes.
All right, who's starting? Oh, I have a brand new thing.
Do you?
I have a thing.
Okay.
It's a new YouTube channel.
Ah.
Called FiberGen. You know about this.
What?
You know about this.
Not. Please tell me more.
FiberGen is, we'll talk about more in detail, but it exists. It's a new YouTube channel and it's a tutorial channel. So I'll spend more time talking about it, but it is a show off and it was a huge accomplishment because of how much got done.
It took some setup.
In a week. It took some setup and how much got done and how quickly. So it's exciting and more to come, more info to come. As I share, should I share Done & Beautifuls first? I probably should. So I have Done & Beautifuls. This is a Done & Beautiful. This is my Simple Elegance scarf. And this is out of Liz's yarn. It is, I want to say it's emerald. No.
Nope, that's definitely emerald.
I know, but I don't remember the exact name. I'll put it on the screen. It's Colorful Eclectic. It's her 50/50 merino silk. And it is wonderful.
Yep.
Super wonderful. So I finished it, got it seamed. I'm wearing it. Hooray. It got washed and blocked.
Nice.
Cool. And my other Done & Beautiful is this right here. And this is what went into FiberGen. Did I get the whole thing in the screen? I can't see.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what is up on FiberGen. It's the tutorial on how to make this square. And this was a very intense experience, but fun. So the tutorial for how to do this. So many people were asking me about my
It is split up over
blanket.
a multitude of videos, though.
Yes. So we start with this one. This is we do a basic mitered square. And then we do this square. Then you do the first square and then these two squares. So you learn how to cast on and some of the tips and tricks. Then I do these squares and then we do the big, whoops, you can't see that part. Then I do the big, I was drawing it on the back. You can't see. So then I do the big square. And the weird
part is I didn't even register that was a problem because I was looking at the back. I was just like, yeah, I see what's going on here.
That works. All right, so then we do the big square.
Sorry, everyone.
And then I did this. Oh, I did this square too. Then I did the big square. Then I did the horizontal square and the vertical square. Then these two, and then the edging. So there are a bunch of tutorials up there for how to do the stained glass blanket. So many people were asking me and liking the pictures of the stained glass blanket on Instagram. And it can seem overwhelming when you've got all of these different shapes. How do they go together? And how do you do the gray? And doesn't that create tons of ends and take so much longer? But look, this is the back. And all of the ends were woven in. And when I got done with the tutorial, I only had one end to weave in. One end. All right. So that's this FiberGen on YouTube. And I'll put it up and there'll also be a link. There's also links on www.colorandlifepodcast.com. So the links to pretty much all our stuff are there.
Okay, is my turn?
No, those are my UFOs. I need to show my first... I mean, those were my Done & Beautifuls. I need to show my first UFO. Unfinished object. All right. So, I started...
What looks to be a blanket.
What looks to be a blanket, but it's not a blanket.
Oh, it's the bat shawl.
It's the hooded bat.
Oh.
This is the hooded bat.
This is quite a bit of
yeah, I've
bat.
Worked on it.
This is quite a bit of bat.
Let me show the picture.
A bit of bat. Oh, no, that's just too cool. It's like siege stitch on one side and one by one ribbing on the other. That is too cool.
It's really cool. All right, so here's the picture of the hooded bat all spread out. And it's by the Beardy Shield, John Glenn. And what I'm working on right now, you're showing it inside out.
Am I?
Yes. Yeah. So what I'm on right now, that's why the stitch markers are all here. or the stitch markers right here, is I'm on the brioche section. So the very edge that splays out into the wings, the pointed wings, is brioche. So that's what I'm doing. I have about 20 more rows to do. And unfortunately, you were with me when I bought this yarn. You can put it down now. Thank you. So unfortunately, this is all I have left.
Of the yarn?
Of the yarn.
All of it?
Yeah.
You
I bought 6 skeins. Yeah, I bought six skeins. 100 grams each. So I need at least one more skein.
That was supposed to be enough.
That was really supposed to be enough. I overbought by 1 skein, I thought.
Well.
Exactly. So, this is the story of my life. Is that I have...
The story of my life.
Yep.
Is a song.
Is a song.
That you can listen to.
So, this is how much I have, so I will be buying more yarn to finish this off. But I'm really enjoying it.
Cool.
Yes, there are lots of stitches on the needles right now.
Is it
the last count? The last count, which was several rows ago, I had 413 stitches, and you increase 4 stitches every right side row now. So I have probably about between 420 and 430 stitches on my needle right now. The rows are long. But it's good. Now that I figured out the pattern and I'm clear on it. I figured, did you hold this up so they could see the pattern?
I mean, I held it up, but I think it's a little bit too dark to see the patterning.
There, you can see it now. So there's this cool patterning going on with it. And this is the hood. So the idea is that you have a shawl that you can have a hood too. And he talks about it on his podcast, the Beardy Shield podcast. Alrighty.
Okay.
Your turn.
Is it my turn?
It is your turn. Oh, you had way more than one thing. They just wasn't knitted thing.
Yeah, you didn't. You weren't paying attention to me saying I want to be. It's my turn.
Okay, it's your turn.
Okay, so. All right, where to begin? I think I'll begin with this series.
He's got crafty things. They didn't see that, by the way, so they don't know what this series is.
Yeah, well, I'm about to show them this series, as I said.
Okay.
And then you interrupted me, so I can't get to. Anyway, so the first one is this. It looks like a cube, but it's actually a hexahedron that is representative of a tetrahedron, which I will explain in a moment.
Okay.
This looks a little bit more like an octahedron, you know, closer to what it should. And I have an octahedron. Well, almost an octahedron over here. And then this is representative of an icosahedron. I'm going to...
Those are cool.
Go hide behind. This one, I mean, is classic. You see this in a couple of places. But I really like it because it shows some interesting properties of the icosahedron. And in fact, all of these show very fascinating properties of their shapes. So the octahedron that I was talking about, this is an octahedron. You might see it, you know, in places as some sort of diamond or crystal. But the actual shape is an octahedron. And when I say the shape is an octahedron, I mean if you were to create a face over, you know, this little indent there on all 8 of them, there's 8 of them, then it would be an octahedron. And so that's fun. This is actually really easy to make. You can find it, just search sunken octahedron.
Sunken octahedron, okay.
Yes, is what this is. And the reason that I say that this isn't a cube, it's a tetrahedron, is because if you look at this, if you look at this one right here, and you compare these two, like so, you can see that instead of being sunken, like the one in my right hand, this one is raised. So it's got a little pyramid, where each face of the pyramid is a 90, 45, 45 triangle. And So there's a pyramid on each of the equilateral triangle faces. And you can kind of see how they're very similar shapes.
Cool.
Um,
I just think these are cool.
And so...
Oh, that white really blew us out.
Oh.
That's okay. Go. Keep
We're
going.
bright now. So that's why I say that this is an octahedron. And if you look at this is an icosahedron, but it's I believe the correct math term, could be completely wrong about this, but I believe the correct math term is a stellated icosahedron. You're going to have to correct me on that. Yes. And it's what it is you take...
may need to correct me. You may be right.
Is you extend the planes of the faces beyond the edges of the shape, and you cut them off where they collide with each other past the edges of the shape. And it creates this. And what I really like about this is this shows you how an icosahedron feels like a dodecahedron a little bit. Because if you look at this, you can see that there are 5 little points there. 5 little edges. And those 5 little points are like the 5 points of a pentagon. And in fact, if you do that all the way around this shape, and if you were to place a little pentagon there every time you came across a set of 5, you would get a dodecahedron.
Huh.
And I think that's awesome. Because it was only doing this that I realized that icosahedrons and dodecahedrons are really good buddies. And the reason I say this is a tetrahedron is actually, so this is the cube that I'm talking about. It's a tetrahedron. And it's much easier to see that it's a tetrahedron when I do this.
Oh, when you lift up the edges?
See, what I've done is I've taken the edges of the tetrahedron and I've put a little triangle on them. And so you can see there's one face here, okay? And then, across from it, there are 3 other faces. And tetra is 4 in Latin?
One of the old languages.
Yeah, there's quadra and there's tetra. Tetra is one of the old languages, quadra is the other. I think quadra is Greek and tetra is Latin. Once again, could be wrong. But I really like this just because it looks cool. You know, it looks kind of starry and stuff. This is kind of characteristic of...
This one, can you lift up... No, you can't lift up any edges.
No, this one is actually made with twice as many modules as this one. And, in fact, I'll show you one of the modules.
Oop.
This is one of the modules. So it's just like this little piece of paper. They're made of little squares. I make 16 out of a single sheet of printer paper. And there's little flaps and there's little tabs. And you insert the tabs into the flaps. I mean, sorry, the... Yeah. No. The tabs into the flaps. I got it right. And you can kind of see how they form, and then you put another one here. And then they just form these little pyramids. And then this is this same shape, but done to the octahedron instead.
Oh, that's cool.
And it has the interesting effect of it demonstrating its planes of symmetry. Well, some of its planes of symmetry. The octahedron has way too many planes of symmetry. Like, it is excessively symmetric. But it is a platonic solid. So, I can kind of forgive it there. And the last one I have is a cube.
That's
but
a
not
bumpy
just
cube.
Any cube, a very cool cube.
That's it. Hold it so that one side, so that they can see how. There you go. They can see how it's raised.
Yep. And the cool thing about this is right. So this is very indicative of the cube octahedron, which is one of my favorite
It's very
shapes.
indicative of, or it is one?
It's not one because it's a cube.
Oh.
But it's indicative of cube octahedron in the same way that this is indicative of a tetrahedral.
Oh, okay. It has properties that are similar, but not the same.
No, it doesn't have any of the properties that are the same. It just kind of reminds me of one, because if you look at the sides, right, there's a little diagonal line from the center to the center. And if you were to just kind of cut that little point off, which is kind of what I was talking about with this one. You know, you've got extra pyramids on all of the faces of the octahedron. So if you cut the little pyramids off of this, then you would get a cube octahedron, which is a combination shape of equilateral triangles with the same side length as squares that have, you know, and the side length is the same for those equilateral triangles and squares. And then they're arranged so that an equilateral triangle is surrounded by squares and a square is surrounded by equilateral triangles. And if you do that,
cool.
then it creates a cube octahedron. That's actually a pretty good recipe for building one. This is
oh my God, that's so cool.
the coolest sounding shape
Hold it up so they can actually see it.
in existence. Are you ready?
Hold it up closer. They can't see how.
Are you ready for the name of this shape? Because it is amazing.
Okay, go.
This shape is not exactly, but it is representative of the permutahedron.
Permutahedron?
The permutahedron.
That sounds like the Bermudahedron.
No. It's the
like
permutahedron, as in permutation.
Okay.
And I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think that why it's called the permutahedron is because it's actually defined in n dimensions. It's not your ordinary, you know, 3-dimensional shape or 4-dimensional shape like the cube or the, you know, 4 cube or the 5 cube, which is just a cube made of, sorry, in the 4th dimension, it's a cube made of cubes. This is actually independently defined mathematically in n dimensions. And what that means is the formula for it, for building one, contains the letter n, and you just substitute whatever your dimension you're in right there, and it builds it. The important thing to realize about this...
I am not asking you how you can do that when we're not in any of those dimensions. That is not a conversation for now. Go.
Anyway, so that's what I've been doing. I've been spending a lot of time, well, not a lot, but I've been spending some time making all of these units, because each of these, well, it's hard to count. Because they end up in weird places. But I've been doing stuff with these in this box, which is actually a box that I made out of my history paper.
He went back through all of his old papers and stuff because he was urging.
Because she told me, you know, you want to have your assignments from your school in case anything happens. And so, you know, I've kept them all. And so I have this, like, 2-inch stack of rough drafts that we printed out to edit. And then, you know, we went back, changed it, printed it out again. So I have this stack of rough drafts. And I just went, I could do something with that.
So he's been using them.
And so this probably contains some of my history paper, also some of my English papers. That definitely does. I'll get to that in a second.
It's really cool.
But this box is essentially the same on the top as it is on the bottom. They're the same unit, just this one's pushed out a little bit more.
Those with
and then I reinforced this so that it could survive in my backpack. So I stuck some cardboard inside.
Is mine reinforced?
No. I stuck some cardboard inside there. I only have so many E2 paper pad backs, okay? I can only use so much E2 paper. Granted, it's a lot, but still.
What in the hell is E2 paper?
So E2 paper is engineering paper with the lines printed on the back so that they're very faint on the front.
You got to stop taking shortcuts in your vocabulary. People
won't
follow you.
So these are the units that I made everything else out of. And, you know, they've got you notice, the important thing to notice here is that I made them with this little slanty bit there. You can kind of see it. And this one, I did not make with that. And the reason is because, and here's another really fun mathematical property. These units have cardinality. No, sorry. Chirality. Cardinality is something different. These have chirality. And what chirality is is that they are mirror images of one another. So if you were to flatten them out and stick them face to face, right? You can see they're mirror images.
You gotta put them together.
Like this, see? Mirror images. But they are non-orientable mirror images, which means that you can't take this mirror image and set it on top of this, or translate it, or rotate it, or scale it in any way such that it looks exactly like this one. They're non-orientable. So they're non-orientable mirror images of each other. And that means they have chirality. And as a result, they're non-compatible. So you can't take some of these and make something. At least not normally. But that's for another day. Alright. So that's my Sonobe units. That's what those are called, by the way. These are called Sonobe units. You can look up how to make them. You can look up all the cool things to do with them. And then you can play around with them and do your own cool things, like I have.
Do you have a book that talks about that?
No.
Okay, so are we saving that one for...
That's my next show and tell.
Do your knitted show and tell. No, do that show and tell, and then we'll finish off with knitting.
Okay. All right.
So he was making these, and I saw this picture.
So she comes. I'm chopping paper to make one of these because I was like, hey, you know what? I need something to do in my classes, and knitting and my knitting pattern isn't quite. Just wait. I'm telling the story. So, and my knitting pattern is a little bit too complicated for me to be doing it in class. So I need something a little bit simpler. And so I looked up this modular origami thing that I had seen once, and I'm chopping paper to make one. And my mother comes by and she says, "You're making that for me, right?"
This is on the screen. And I said, "I want one."
And she says, "I want one of those." And I said, "All right, this one's yours." And she was a little bit surprised by that. Yeah. But it's not like I need one.
This is so cool.
It's a swan, in case you haven't guessed. It's
but
about.
Hold it up so they can really see how it's put together.
It's a little upwards of 500 units. In all.
Yeah, show this side here. This is just so cool.
And they're pretty simple to make. You know, they just
This was made with your English papers too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you broke it.
No, I didn't. I disassembled it.
Okay.
So they look a little bit like this. They're just kind of these. They've got two pockets, and the pockets are inside of two prongs, and then the prongs go in the pockets in little offsetted things. So, you just offset them and stack them up, and they can be shaped into nice, gentle curves. I like these units because you can use them to make pretty much anything curvy. And I like these units because you can use them to make pretty much anything geometric. This is my swan.
Very cool.
It doesn't song.
Very cool. My turn?
Yes.
All right. Yes, there has been progress on...
Oh, man.
My...
So much progress.
Yeah, so hold that down.
What? Oh.
So they can see. So I did a big square here and 3 smaller squares. There's more plans for squares over here. And
then she did this whole row right here.
No.
Those are all ones that you did, right?
No, these are leftovers from before.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So these are the ones that I did. See all the stitch markers?
Ah.
So
progress keepers.
The progress keepers. 1, 2, 3 by 4. So I did these 12. And then the equivalent of 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 7 more. So 12 and 7 is a number. 19. And this was what inspired, as I'm doing this and showing this on Instagram, people are saying, "Oh, this is so amazing. I love the big squares. I love how you have different size squares. How I don't know how to, I wish I knew how to do that."
So
and stuff
what you
like
need
that.
to do is find some bit of like pixel art that you want to do, and then just do that.
That would be cool. Do it with different colors. That would be interesting.
And you can actually take a piece of, a picture and render it down in pixels. So that it will average the colors that are within a certain pixel and just make that pixel that color, so you can get a really nice low-res image.
Cool. That would be really pretty cool.
And then you can make a blanket out of that.
I don't think I'm going to be
And then
spending
you could
time
do,
doing
like,
that,
little
but it
miniature,
would be really cool.
Little miniature squares is a thing that you could do.
I could do little squares, smaller squares.
Like these.
Yeah, these squares. The squares for this
are half
16
the size.
by 16. The squares for my blanket
Are 32 by 32?
The base square is 22 by 22.
Oh, that's...
22 by 22 with one in the middle.
You've got a power of 2 on one of them, and then not a power of 2 on the other. You've got like 2 times 11, which is, granted, a pretty cool prime factorization.
This was what the...
Not very fun.
This was what Danny of Prairie Girls had on her little notes and her outline. So I was following her little things because I didn't know anything about it. I just picked it up and started following hers, and hers was 22 by 22. So that's why I did that.
Not the most appealing of numbers,
but
I will say
it's a nice size. I like it. It uses up just about the right amount of the mini. Oh, I was going to talk a little bit. No, I've shown it before. All right. And I've got the other squares planned out, and I'm going to plan out some more squares soon. I'm almost out of my mini plan. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7 more squares. And then I've got to make a new plan.
Okay. Is it my turn?
It is your turn.
All right. TARDIS bag back in action. This is date on the porch. Really fun looking scarf. I'm so excited for it to be finished, and it's going to take me all year. I know it.
You mean all semester?
Nope, all year.
Really?
It'll be done by next October. I know that's not the whole year. I meant like...
Okay.
And this is what I've done so far.
This is cool. Are you liking the lace?
Oh, I'm loving it. Do. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I like the back though too.
No, I'm not as big of a fan of the back. The back, looks like this.
I know that, but if you hold it up so they can see the back closer.
I'm holding it up, see?
No, hold it closer. More closely. Look more closely.
All right. And then the front is, it's got little pearls and stuff all over the place. It's great. I love it.
So, the reason I like the back is because if the back shows, it won't look wrong.
Oh, no, it won't look wrong, per se. It just looks not as appealing as the front.
And what are you making this out of?
Charcoal. No, wait. How about I find the tag instead? Graphite. That's the one.
But more importantly,
graphite superwash merino, 80%.
What else?
And it's also 10% nylon.
And what else?
And it's also 10% cashmere.
There you go. He did do the cashmere. And who's it by?
That's Colorful Eclectic.
And she has some of that in her shop right now.
Yep. And it's fun to work with. I'm actually really happy with it. Oh, I need to put my pattern away. Oh, okay. And I'm working on size...
You're using Chow Goo needles, right?
7s. Chow Goo.
Yeah,
that's
right,
our
that's our show and tell.
I had lots of stuff today. I hope you're all proud of me. Now it's time for Featured Maker of the Month.
Maker of the Month. The Maker of the Month.
Featured Maker of the Month.
Now, we got so much positive response about Maker of the Month that we're continuing Maker of the Month.
All right, so who's our Maker of the Month this time?
Our Maker of the Month this time is Mars and her daughter Adachi. They are the dyers behind Dynamix Yarns. This yarn right here, hold that up, is called Corolla. Oh, you got weird shadows going on. You gotta back it up. Back it up. Back it up. Not that far. That far. Yeah.
There we
you go.
go.
So Corolla is a friend of ours. She is the dyer behind Otherworldly Yarns, who we have featured on, who was our featured Maker of the Month last year, one of our featured Maker of the Month, and her
Makers of the Month.
Makers of the Month, and she has dyed hair in stripes and stuff in these shades, and I love this. I love this. So Dynamix Yarns, but one of the things I also love about how they package their yarns, label. So hold that part up so people can see. So they have this space so you can take project notes. So you can write what project you're working and what needle size you're using and what pattern and all of that, and then the ball band becomes something useful.
Oh, that's cute.
And not just trash. It becomes a useful thing. So there are quite a few skeins. We'll just show a few. And she does some things with natural dyes and stuff too. So this is 50/50 merino silk, both of these. This one's caramel latte. Back just about there. There you go. Caramel latte. And this one is called latte foam. And it looks like it's just a cream. There you go. But you can see there's some dark brown, the darker brown streaks in it. This one is one of my favorites. It's called creamsicle.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the ones that I'm showing you, these last few, the lattes and the creamsicle. And then this one. I love this one. This one's called Rose Petal. Here, I'll take the ball band off so you can see. It's just perfect. And it feels like rose petals. I mean, it's amazing. So, these are her 50/50 merino silk. This Corolla is 100% merino wool. She's got lots of fun bases, lots of fun colors. They do natural dyeing. They, not just she. So it's Mars and her daughter, Dynamix Yarns, and all of the information will be on the screen. They are offering a coupon code through February for 20% off. And that is also on the screen. So, go check out Dynamix Yarns. She has an Etsy shop, Dynamix. It's DYENAMIXX. And that also will be on the screen though. All right. So that's our Maker of the Month for February of 2018.
Yep.
And the coupon code is good through the last day of February.
Now it's time for the conversation.
All right.
Last time
We talked about New Year stuff.
and change. This time we're going to talk about education.
Yes. And on the topic of education, do you want to go first?
Yes.
Okay, go.
So
Your new education experience. What's
yes.
that like?
I just transferred to Mines, and I'm super stoked because it's great there.
What was it you said? We were driving down the road and you were like, I'm home. And I didn't know I wasn't. Or something like that.
I didn't know I wasn't home, but now I am. Is basically what it is. I really like engineering things, and I've always been good at it, and so it's really fun to be in a place where that's all they do.
Everybody
like,
there engineers.
Everyone there is engineering all the time.
Of some kind.
It's great.
They may not understand.
They have science majors, you know, like I know someone who's just getting a chemistry major, but it's a community of, you know, just
geeks and nerds.
Complete and total. Like, so you know how when you're walking down the hall in a school, you'll overhear conversations about social
party
drama
this weekend,
and
the football game.
Yeah, the football game and like grades, stuff like that in like a high school or a college. At mines, you walk down the hall and you hear people talking about particle physics and thermodynamics, and it's awesome. Like,
fluid
on
dynamics.
3 separate occasions, I've just been walking down the hall and I overhear a conversation and I'm like, oh, they're talking about science. That makes me really happy. It's great. I love it.
You're happy with the location? You think that?
Yes, and I think it is almost as important to have a good education environment as it is to have a good teacher.
Now, you mean good in an education environment, you mean an environment that works for you and works for your learning style and works for...
An environment that is focused on learning is what I meant.
Mm.
On the other hand, I've had good teachers and bad teachers.
And a good teacher can make up for it.
I mean, a good teacher can make up for a bad environment any day of the week. And a good environment can make up for a good teacher sometimes. A bad teacher sometimes. But it's really great when you have both.
And so far you have both at Mines?
No, not really.
You have some less than ideal teachers right now?
Just a little bit. Yeah. So it's a little bit challenging with some of my teachers because they don't always know how to teach really well. I mean, they're brilliant and they're really good at thinking. But sometimes the communication isn't quite there.
They're not just natural teachers.
No, and it's just a little bit harder. You have to work harder. You have to read the book more in depth.
Ask more questions.
Yeah. I ask an excessive amount of questions. And actually, a good teacher is one that recognizes that as a good thing.
In your book.
In a lot of people's book.
Yeah.
But yes, in my book. Because if they're not willing to answer questions, then what is the point?
Yeah.
I don't quite see the point in a teacher that's not willing to answer questions.
Okay.
Especially when they're a scientist.
Yeah.
I don't have any teachers like that. In fact, I've been kind of lucky not to ever have a teacher like that.
All of your teachers were
Yep.
good at answering questions?
Yep. Oh, sorry, no, except for one. But
that was a while ago.
That was a while ago.
Alrighty. Okay, my position. Going into that, one thing that is coming up on our horizon is the cost of education. Because the cost of education at Mines is a little bit different than the cost of education at Red Rocks.
A little bit.
A little bit. Exactly. A little bit. So figuring out how we deal with some of that, and that has kind of come up with me in how I want to share and how I want to educate, is how do you balance and how do you deal with the fact that the teachers need to get paid and deserve to be compensated?
I think I have a good way to say this.
Okay.
How do you make sure that the teachers can keep on teaching without corrupting their teaching?
Yes. And also, even more, making education available to anybody who wants to access it. So, as I was thinking about how do I make what I want to share available to anyone who wants to access it, and as many people, but how do I make sure I'm not just... There are bills I still need to pay.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
And I would, really appreciate if those bills keep getting paid.
Yeah, some of those bills. Anyway, the point being that I want to share teaching though. That's what I want to do. So I needed to find a way. And I thought about the whole ways of doing that. And I think I've come up with a good compromise isn't the right word.
Solution?
A good solution, yes. A good solution which allows me to just teach freely and then allows other people to find value and reach out. So, and you'll find out a little bit more about what I'm talking about if you watch one of the videos, because all the information is there on FiberGen. But FiberGen is the new tutorial channel, and I'm really excited. I actually, as much work as this was to put together and to come up with, I had so much fun doing it. I loved it. Did you notice as I was doing it how much I was enjoying it? It was really something. This is something that I can be really passionate about and really explore, and I'm excited. Plus, I get to teach myself something new too. I got a sock machine. So, I get to teach myself how to use my sock machine.
I was wondering when that would come up.
He wasn't sure if it was going to. So, education,
no, I was pretty
and
sure
I'm really
it was going
grateful.
to.
And I'm really grateful for all of the tutorials that are out there so that I can learn how to use my sock machine. Because it's not like I can go to a class to learn how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So I am really profoundly grateful for all of those people that have put out tutorials and done that service online. Really grateful. So I'm excited about what's coming up.
Cool.
There were some awkward moments there.
It's okay. You're tired.
Hopefully it translates okay. And hopefully you understand. And that's the thing, is this whole idea of education and how it gets paid for and what's worth it and how you educate and all of that kind of stuff is so charged. Because, yes, I have a certain amount of education should be accessible and people should be able to find education they want and learn. Because I was one of those people that just wanted to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, the people providing the education deserve to be compensated for what they've learned and how they're sharing it too.
Right.
So it's challenging. It's a challenging balance.
And
it's
the
a
thing
really
is,
challenging
the best
balance.
of them don't need that. That's not why they do it.
Right.
But they kind of do need it still, but that's not why they're doing it.
Right.
So it's hard.
So what are our questions for our viewers about education?
What? That's
What are we going to ask our viewers?
probably, how do you feel about education? Do you have education PTSD? Because if you do, I am so sorry. And that is a crime. In my book, that is a crime. So, yeah, I'm really sorry about that.
So what are their thoughts about education? Did they love education?
Yeah.
Just thoughts in general about this?
Did my rant earlier give you flashbacks? And if so, were they pleasant or painful? I hope the former. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for our viewers?
Nope.
Feel free to rant if you want to about education. We are totally
Please
willing
educate
to
us
hear
on your
advice.
lives.
Yes, exactly. Educate us on your views about education. And your perspective on the costs and how all of that works too.
Yeah.
Because that's very real in our lives right now.
Yeah, and I really wish, dream world for me, alright, is one where people have figured out how to get robots to take care of the food and the running things.
Replicators.
No, stop it. That's a bad plan, and you know why. Stop it. So.
We've had that conversation before.
Automated factories is the correct way to go about this. When you make replicators, they can do anything. When you make automated factories, they do one thing really well. And that's the correct way to go with robotics. That's what people don't understand, is if you build a robot, you build it to do one thing really well. You don't build a robot that can do everything really well. That's less useful and more terrifying.
That's Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, exactly. See, you did it again, okay? You did it a second time.
What?
Okay. We get robots to take care of all of our needs so that everyone in the world can sit around having intellectual discussions all day. That's it. That's the dream.
You just want to have intellectual
Doing
conversations
science
all the time.
every time. Constantly.
You want all of your needs and everything taken care of so you can just do science.
So that I can learn everything there is to know. That's all I want.
That is not a your lifetime reasonable expectation.
Nope. Doesn't mean I'm not going to work for it, though.
But it's the dream. It's the dream you want to live.
I don't care who lives it.
All right.
That's the dream.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
Is that all
it.
we have?
Yeah.
For conversing?
Mm-hmm.
So, now we have our new segment.
Oh, do we? Yes. Okay. We want to figure out a way to insert little bits of our lives into the podcast, because we want to share that with you, and we think that based on your feedback that you kind of enjoy seeing that.
Okay, so what we'll do is after the credit sequence, we'll have the post show. That's what we'll do. We'll call it the post show.
Yeah, that'll be our bloopers.
At the end of this, after the credits roll, basically, after we sign off, we're going to insert a few little videos of life that have happened.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
That's going to... Do we want to tell them what it's going to include this time? All right.
It's a surprise.
If you're interested, then stay tuned for those fun little bits afterwards. The post show. Is that it?
Yep, I think that's it.
So. All right. So until next time.
Have a colorful life.
Thank you, David. This was amazing. It came from David. And inside, it's a cookie jar. When you close it, it makes the TARDIS sound. This is amazing. Sorry.